On my son's birthday, my sister-in-law snatched his gift and laughed, "My kids deserve this more." My mother-in-law nodded, "He's too spoiled anyway." My son burst into tears, heartbroken. But the next day, when they opened their mail, they screamed in horror because I have never in my life felt such rage while being completely powerless. This happened on my son's 8th birthday. We had planned a simple, small party at home in Columbus, Ohio, just some pizza, cake, and family. Nothing big, nothing over the top. My son, Lucas, had been looking forward to this day for months. He had been talking about it non-stop, counting down the days, and even making little drawings of himself blowing out candles. But what he really wanted, what he had been dreaming of, was a Nintendo Switch. We aren't wealthy. I work in property management, and my husband, Mark, works in IT. We get by, but we have to budget carefully. So when Lucas first asked for a Switch, we told him it was expensive and he might have to wait. He was disappointed but took it well. That made me want to get it for him even more. So I saved. I cut corners. I skipped little luxuries, used coupons, and managed to scrape together enough to buy it. And when I finally got my hands on that console, I was so excited to see the look on his face. That excitement was short-lived. Family arrived in the early afternoon. Mark's side of the family, his mother, Evelyn, his sister Vanessa, and her 2 kids, showed up late as usual. Evelyn waltzed in with her usual air of superiority, barely acknowledging me. Vanessa came in acting like she owned the place. Lucas didn't care. He was just happy to have his cousins there. The party went well, up until it was time for gifts. Lucas opened a few small things first, some Hot Wheels, a Lego set. He was happy with everything, but I could tell he was eagerly looking for the big one. Then he finally got to it. The present from me and Mark. The one in bright wrapping paper. His little hands shook with excitement as he tore it open. The second he saw the Nintendo Switch logo, his eyes lit up. "Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you," he yelled, bouncing on his knees. I felt so proud. It was worth every sacrifice to see that joy on his face. But before he could even touch the box, Vanessa, my sister-in-law, reached over and snatched it right out of his hands. My brain needed a second to process what had just happened. Then, with the most casual tone, Vanessa turned the box over in her hands and said, "Wow. This is perfect for my kids." Lucas's hands were still frozen in the air, as if the present was still there. His smile disappeared. His entire face changed, shifting from pure joy to complete devastation. I snapped out of my shock. "Vanessa, what the hell are you doing?" I said, standing up. She laughed. "I mean, come on. My kids don't have anything like this," she said, still holding the box like it was hers. I was so stunned I could barely form words. "Because, it's not for them. It's for Lucas." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. They'll let him play with it sometimes. He doesn't need it all to himself." Lucas's lip started trembling. He wasn't crying yet, but I could see it building. Then Evelyn, my mother-in-law, chimed in. "Oh, stop making a scene," she said, waving a hand. "Lucas is spoiled enough. He doesn't need something this expensive. Vanessa's kids could use it more." My jaw dropped. "Are you serious?" I asked, looking at my husband, expecting him to say something. But Mark just sat there. Uncomfortable. Silent. Weak. Meanwhile, Vanessa was already stuffing the Switch into her purse. That's when Lucas started crying. Not just a few tears, full-on sobbing. The kind of cry that comes from pure heartbreak. And what did Vanessa do? She laughed. "Oh, stop it, Lucas," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're not the only kid in the world, you know. My boys never get anything nice. You should be happy to share." Happy to share? She was stealing my son's birthday present, right in front of me, and telling him to be happy about it. I turned to Mark again. "Are you seriously just going to sit there and let them do this?" I asked, my voice shaking. He hesitated. Then he muttered, "I mean, it's just a game." I swear, something inside me snapped. But I forced myself to stay calm. I looked at Vanessa. I looked at Evelyn. I looked at Mark. Then I looked at my sobbing son. And I made a decision. They were going to pay for this. They were going to regret this moment for the rest of their lives. I just had to wait for the right moment to strike. That night, after everyone left, I sat with Lucas in his room, trying to console him. He had stopped crying, but his face was puffy, his eyes red. "Why did Aunt Vanessa take my present?" he asked, his voice small. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Because some people think they can take whatever they want," I said honestly. "But don't worry, sweetheart. Mommy's going to make things right." I tucked him into bed, kissed his forehead, and turned off the light. But I didn't sleep that night. No, I stayed up thinking. Planning. Vanessa and Evelyn had humiliated my son. Stolen from him. Laughed while he cried. And Mark, my own husband, had sat there like a coward. They thought they had won. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I woke up early and went straight to work. I handle property management in Franklin County, which means I deal with leases, payments, and evictions. And Vanessa? She and her husband Brad just so happened to be renting a house managed by my company. They had been 1 month behind on rent for weeks. I had ignored it before because, well, family. Not anymore. I pulled up their file, double-checked the lease agreement, and emailed the eviction notice first thing that morning. By law, they had exactly 7 days to pay up or get out. I smiled as I hit send. Vanessa is a scammer. She has 3 different GoFundMe pages, all full of lies. One claims she's raising money for urgent medical bills, her husband Brad is completely fine. Another says her kids need school supplies, they have more than enough. The third? Some sob story about their car breaking down, they drive a brand new SUV. I never said anything before. But now? I gathered every piece of evidence, screenshots, social media posts, even photos of her and Brad on vacation last month. Then, I reported all 3 pages to GoFundMe's fraud department. By the afternoon, all 3 pages were suspended for investigation. Vanessa also collects unemployment benefits, even though she's been working under the table for months. I had proof. How? Because she bragged about it on Facebook. She posted about her side gigs and how she gets paid in cash, so the government doesn't need to know. One email to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and they were on her case immediately. That's fraud. And in Ohio? That's a felony. She had no idea what was coming. The first call came at noon. It was Vanessa. She was furious. UB*TCH. "We just got an eviction notice," she screamed into the phone. I kept my voice calm. "Oh. What a shame. I guess you should have paid your rent. You know we're behind. You were supposed to help us." I smiled. Why would I help someone who steals from an 8-year-old? She sputtered. "It was just a game. Get over it." "Oh, don't worry," I said sweetly. "I'm just getting started." Then I hung up. By 2 p.m., she called again. "My GoFundMe pages are gone," she screeched. "Oh, wow," I said. "I wonder why." "You reported me." "Sounds like they found something shady," I said. "Maybe don't scam people." She started cursing me out. I hung up. By 4 p.m., she called a third time. Her voice was shaking. Did you report me for unemployment fraud?" I smiled. "Guess you'll find out soon enough." Then I hung up again. She didn't call back. That evening, Mark came home from work looking miserable. "My mom's coming over," he said. I shrugged. "Great. Can't wait." 15 minutes later, Evelyn stormed through my front door without knocking. "You have gone too far," she shouted. I crossed my arms. "Oh? And what exactly have I done?" "You got Vanessa evicted. You ruined her GoFundMe. And now the state is investigating her." I shrugged. "Sounds like Vanessa ruined herself." Evelyn's face turned red. "She's family. You don't do this to family." I laughed. "Oh, you mean the same way she stole from my son? Humiliated him? Laughed while he cried? That kind of family? She's a struggling mother. She needed that console more than Lucas did." I felt my blood boil. "No, Evelyn. She's a thief. A liar. A fraud. And now? She's finally paying for it." Evelyn opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "And if you say one more word, I will report you too." She froze. See, Evelyn gets a widow's pension from her late husband's military service. But I know for a fact she's been living with a new boyfriend for years, which violates the terms of her benefits. She knows I know. So she shut up real fast. Then, without another word, she turned and stormed out. Mark stood there, looking like he wanted to disappear. I turned to him. You have something to say? He hesitated. Then, finally, he sighed. No. You were right. Damn straight I was. The next day, something unexpected happened. I got a call from Vanessa's husband, Brad. And what he told me? The next morning, as I was making breakfast, my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID. Brad. Vanessa's husband. I raised an eyebrow. Brad never called me. He barely spoke at family gatherings. The man was practically a shadow. I let it ring twice before answering. Hello? His voice was shaky. We need to talk. I leaned against the counter. About what? There was a pause. Then, in a low voice, he said, I need your help. I almost laughed. My help? You mean after your wife stole from my son and I had to teach her a lesson? That help? Brad sighed. I know what she did was wrong. But you don't understand, there's more to this. I frowned. What are you talking about? Another pause. Then, in a whisper, he said, I found something. And I think Vanessa is in serious trouble. Later that afternoon, I met Brad at a small coffee shop on the other side of town. He looked like hell, bags under his eyes, messy hair, and a nervous twitch in his hands. Okay, I said, sitting down across from him. Spill. Brad rubbed his face. You're not the only one Vanessa's been scamming. I frowned. What do you mean? He took out his phone and scrolled through some messages. Then he turned the screen toward me. I froze. It was a long text thread, between Vanessa and another man. And it wasn't just any man. It was my brother. My own brother, Jake. The messages? They weren't friendly. They were intimate. Flirty. Explicit. I felt my stomach turn. Brad let out a bitter laugh. They've been seeing each other for almost a year. I clenched my jaw. You're telling me Vanessa has been cheating on you, with my brother? He nodded. And that's not even the worst part. I braced myself. Go on. Brad took a deep breath. She's been stealing from him, too. I gripped the edge of the table. What do you mean she's stealing from him? Brad pulled up another set of screenshots, bank transactions. Large amounts of money being transferred from Jake's account to Vanessa's. Thousands of dollars. She told him she was in debt, Brad said. Said she needed help with bills, car payments, medical expenses. All of it was a lie. I stared at the screen, boiling with rage. This wasn't just about my son's birthday anymore. This wasn't just about a stolen gift. Vanessa had been running a long con. And she was about to lose everything. I looked up at Brad. Why are you telling me this? He sighed. Because I want out. I want a divorce. But I need proof. Real proof, that she's a liar, a cheat, and a fraud. I can't leave her without it. I smirked. Lucky for you, Brad. I love exposing liars. I leaned forward. Here's what we're going to do. And just like that, Vanessa had no idea that her entire life was about to crumble. I went home that night, feeling more determined than ever. This wasn't just about my son's stolen birthday present anymore. Vanessa had ruined lives. She had lied, scammed, cheated, and she had been getting away with it for too long. That was about to change. Brad and I came up with a plan. We were going to hit her where it hurt the most, her reputation, her finances, and her fake, perfect life. Brad went home and acted completely normal. Then, 2 days later, he casually mentioned to Vanessa that he had received a letter from his job about a possible raise. A big one. She took the bait instantly. Within hours, she was texting Jake, my own brother, asking for more money. She claimed she was stressed and needed extra cash to pay off old debts. Jake, being the idiot he was, agreed to meet her that night. At his apartment. Where I would be waiting. I had never been to my brother's apartment before, but Brad had tracked his location through Vanessa's phone. That night, I stood in Jake's living room, waiting. Vanessa walked in, smiling like she hadn't just destroyed multiple lives. Then she saw me. Her face dropped. What What are you doing here? She stammered. I held up my own phone. Oh, just reading your sweet little texts to my brother. Jake walked in from the kitchen, confused, until he saw Brad. Then? His face went pale. Vanessa looked at Jake. Then Brad. Then me. She realized she was completely trapped. You've been scamming my brother for months, I said, stepping closer. Cheating on your husband. Lying to everyone. Jake, now sweating, turned to Vanessa. Wait, you told me you were leaving Brad. Vanessa spun to face him. What? No, save it, Brad cut in. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I'm divorcing you. Vanessa's mouth snapped shut. And, I added, grinning, I made sure the Ohio Fraud Department has every little piece of proof about your fake unemployment claims and your GoFundMe scams. She gasped. You wouldn't. I smirked. I already did. Then, just to twist the knife, I pulled out one last thing, a copy of the eviction notice. You have 3 days to get out of your house, I said, watching her eyes widen in horror. Looks like you and your kids will need to find a new place to live. Vanessa turned to Brad. You're seriously kicking us out? Brad crossed his arms. No, Vanessa. You're kicked out. The kids are staying with me. I'd never seen her look so defeated. Within a week, Brad filed for full custody. Vanessa's accounts were frozen due to the fraud investigation. Jake realized he had been used and completely cut her off. Evelyn, my mother-in-law, lost her widow's pension when I anonymously reported her illegal cohabitation. And best of all, Lucas got a brand new Nintendo Switch, and this time, no one stole it from him. Vanessa ended up jobless, homeless, and completely alone. The last time I heard about her, she was living in a cheap motel, struggling to find a job because no one trusts a fraud. And you know what? She deserved every bit of it.